Astrology isn't just about signs and symbols. It's a tool for navigating real life. Hello, and welcome to Astrology with Elisa. I'm your host, Elisa Dixon, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Do you guys ever feel pulled to do something? Not totally sure why, but the urge is unmistakable. That happened to me last week, on the day of the full moon in Gemini. Here's the backstory. Way back before I launched the podcast, around the same time I created my website, I also created my Astrology with Elisa Facebook page. And then I basically never used it. Instead, I started with Instagram, which is funny because personally, I never adopted Instagram. I had maybe one post in over 10 years. I've always been more of a Facebook person, posting pictures, updates, that sort of thing. So in theory, Facebook should have made the most sense for me. But when I launched the podcast, my astro friends were like, Elisa, Instagram is where you need to be. So I went there. No clue what I was doing, trying to be consistent, trying to find my rhythm. And recently, I've been working really hard to show up more regularly, both on Instagram and on my Astrology with Elisa Facebook page. Meanwhile, my husband has been gently nudging me for months. Elisa, you need to share your page with your friends. But I just wasn't ready. Then, about a month ago, I was on a Zoom call with my astro besties, catching up, talking about everything and nothing, and I told them I was going to finally share my page. But I wanted their opinion on when, because of course, I wanted to time it right. Where's the moon? What's activated? Astrologically, what's the best window for visibility and connection? I figured I've already waited months. I can wait another week or two for the right timing. And yes, I look at multiple charts when I time something. My own personal natal chart, my business birth chart, and my podcast birth chart. But then real life got busy, like really busy, and I never got around to checking any charts very closely. Then, last week, suddenly it was time. I knew it. I felt the pull inside of me. And here's where the astrology comes in, because the timing was unbelievable. The sun in Sagittarius was squaring the lunar nodes, the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. This only happens twice a year. It's karmic. It's directional. It carries that feeling of, here's the path forward. Or, here's what you're ready to release. And this time, it was happening right on top of the full moon. So that internal urgency I felt, that subtle but unmistakable voice saying, now, Elisa, do it now, makes perfect sense in hindsight. But of course, in the moment, I wasn't thinking about the nodes or timing. I just felt this inner nudge to put the announcement out. I knew the moon was in Gemini, and that alone made sense because Gemini is strong in my podcast birth chart. And Gemini energy is all about sharing, connecting, and communicating. But the exact timing, that part was honestly just how the day unfolded. Logistically, I had a lot of little things I needed to fix first. I had to fix the Facebook cover photo because while it looked great on desktop, it looked awful on mobile. And the perfectionist in me couldn't send people to a page that didn't look right. And I wanted to have a few posts up before inviting my entire personal world in. So I prepped, I resized, I tweaked, I got things ready. And by the time everything was finally set, the clock had landed right on the full moon. Not even on purpose. It just happened. Because that intensity I felt, that push, to share, to speak, to connect. That was very Gemini, very put it out into the world. So I shared the page, and it felt great. And then I stayed up way too late, watching friend after friend accept the invites. And yes, my 12-year-old son went absolutely nuts and made me screenshot my phone the moment I hit 67 followers because of that 6-7 thing that all the kids are saying right now. I couldn't tell you what it means, but I hear it all day long, and I'm sure many of you do too. And then, right before bed, I listened to my friend Kristen Lawhead on the Fun Astrology podcast, and what she said made me stop in my tracks and really take in the significance of the day. She said, the sun is squaring the nodes today, right on this full moon in Gemini. She said, anytime the sun squares the nodes, it's the marker that we are exactly halfway between eclipse seasons. Lunations don't always line up with that midpoint, but this year they have. And for me, that hit even deeper because both eclipses in this cycle activated my Mercury placement, the part of my chart that rules communication. This entire year has been a Mercury year for me, finding my voice, speaking more openly, sharing my work more boldly. And suddenly it hit me, a full-bodied light bulb moment. Oh my God, this was a big deal lunation because the sun was at 13 degrees Sagittarius. The moon was at 13 Gemini, the south node at 13 Virgo, and the north node at 13 Pisces. All the mutable signs, all at 13 degrees. A perfect cross in the sky. So let me just pause here real quick and say, if you have planets or points at 12, 13, or 14 degrees of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, you probably felt this one. I sure did. I personally have Mercury in my natal chart at 14 degrees Pisces. Right there, 1 degree from exact. And Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, the ruler of this full moon, the ruler of communication, connection, social media, words, and the bridge we build between two worlds, which is literally what I was doing, connecting my personal world with my astrology world by finally sharing my Astrology with Elisa Facebook page with my personal network of friends. And sharing that page may sound small from the outside, but for me, it was a huge symbolic step, a moment of saying, this is who I am now, and I'm letting the people I love see it. And the wildest part, I wasn't thinking about any of this at the time. Not the nodes, not the degrees, not the fact that it was the midpoint between eclipse seasons. I was just following that internal pull to get the message out. Because sometimes, even when you're an astrologer, and even when you watch the sky every day, when something is happening to you, and it's personal and vulnerable, you don't always see the astrology right away. But the moment I heard Kristen say those words, hours later, it all snapped into place. Of course this was the day. Of course I felt the urge. My Mercury was activated by the full moon in Gemini on the day of the karmic midpoint between eclipses. The universe had been nudging me all along. I was just too busy living it to notice the astrology. You truly cannot make this stuff up. And if you're newer to astrology, let me take a quick minute to explain the nodes so you understand why this moment mattered. The nodes aren't planets. They're points in space where the path of the sun and the path of the moon intersect as they travel through the zodiac. And these points are where eclipses happen. The south node represents old patterns, things we've mastered but may have outgrown, patterns we're ready to release. The north node points toward your growth, the skills you're developing, the direction your soul is learning to move in. And just like a full moon, where the sun is opposite the moon, the nodes always sit opposite each other too. So when the sun squares the nodes, we get a right angle, a T-square, which in astrology is like a big energetic exclamation point. It says, pay attention, this moment matters. And for me, it mattered. I could feel the shift. I could feel the opening. I could feel that internal yes. Astrology in real life, you guys, it never stops blowing me away. Because without checking a single chart, I lived out the symbolism exactly. A Gemini full moon, a sun node crossroads, and my Mercury at 14 degrees Pisces lit up like a beacon. The universe had been nudging me all along. I just needed one sentence from a friend on a podcast to connect the dots. And speaking of connections, I had the sweetest experience this weekend, perfectly aligned with all this Gemini energy. I got to meet one of you, a podcast listener, in real life. She happened to be passing through town, and the timing lined up perfectly for us to meet for coffee. And you guys, we talked like we had known each other for years. It was such a warm, easy, Gemini-style connection. That's truly the best part of all of this, connecting with you, hearing from you, feeling like we're building something together. And yes, you better believe I posted our picture on Facebook and Instagram. I want you to know connecting with you is genuinely my favorite part of this journey. I love hearing from you, the messages you send, the stories you share, and getting to meet one of you in person, it was magic. So please keep reaching out, keep sending your notes. And if you felt the energy last week like I did, and you'd like to unpack it together, you can always book a reading with me at www.astrologywithalisa.com. And if you've begun your holiday shopping and need a gift for the astrology lover in your life, I have gift cards available on my website too. Speaking of the holidays, I know so many of us are feeling the pressure this month. So if you're in that season of stress, don't forget to grab your free moon sign self-care guide on my website. My gift to you. Just pop in your email and I'll send it right to your inbox. I'll link everything in the show notes for you. As always, I love and appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you next time.